Okay, so this is a very quick recording I wanted to do about Coil and basically my hopes for the Coil changes. So for context, Coil is getting changed to become more of like a dive-heavy character instead of a whatever the hell of the state he's in now. So basically this is a video that I'm just basically going to be talking about my hopes for the character when they get changed and basically everything about that. Really not much else to say for an intro, let's just talk about everything. First thing I want to say is that Grav Tether needs to be just strength. So Grav Tether right now gives, of course, gravity and a little bit of strength when you actually hit the... when you actually give somebody Grav Tether, so you'll, of course, get gravity and strength. But I think it just needs to be strength. Now, this will, of course, make the ranged class a little bit... nerf the ranged class a little bit, but honestly, the ranged class is strong enough as is, so I think it's fine to nerf the ranged class a little bit, so that's fine. I think that the reason why this is necessary is because it buffs the melee class. And of course the melee class is a little bit weaker than the ranged class because they have to go up close and personal to actually deal damage. The ranged class doesn't really need to do that, so this basically buffs the melee class and nerfs the ranged class, and this is pretty necessary. Of course we could also buff the actual strength that the Grav Tether gives, that would make it a lot stronger. That's basically my hope for what happens with Grav Tether. Grav Breaker just needs to give AoE strength, so what you might not know about the breakers is that when you break as Coil with your S-grade breakers is that they give a little bit of an AoE buff, and this AoE buff is basically not noticeable. And I feel like if Grav Breaker gave you and your teammates a AoE strength buff, that would make Grav Breaker a lot better and a lot more worth it. So I think that Grav Breaker also needs to give an AoE strength buff, alongside Grav Tether actually having a, just Grav Tether just giving strength. So Grav Tether isn't really a gravity tether anymore. Grav mode isn't really a gravity mode anymore. I'm sorry. It's just a, it's strength mode now, which is what I think it should have been since the release of Coil. An aerial gravity rework is necessary. I think that aerial gravity is like Coil's strongest move in their kit. It's extremely spammable. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. There's a diagram on screen for what I want for Coil's aerial gravity rework. Basically, aerial gravity is getting reworked no matter what we do. That Aiden basically just said that when we were discussing Coil changes in the Coil thread. So, if it were to get reworked, I want to get reworked like this. Regen Tether needs to be a consistent 12 healing a second. Also another change that I really, really want. Regen Tether, of course, increasing your amount of healing with grade. I think that needs to be consistent 12 healing a second so that when you actually break, it's not just a punishment for breaking. I think that if you just break, you shouldn't get punished, and that you should always have the consistent 12 healing a second, so it's a good thing when you actually break. Because, of course, healing is very powerful in fighting, so I don't really know. Just make it so that Regen Tether's consistent 12 healing a second, so you don't just go down to C grade for like however long and have an abysmal 6 healing a second when it's absolutely necessary to have however much healing. 175, 125 HP split, pretty self-explanatory. He's going to get a healing buff when the rework comes out. I want it to be 175, 125 because 200, 100 is kind of abysmal to fight against, especially like Coil versus Coil with all the breaking with Regen Breaker. It's just fucking terrible. So 125, 175, 125 would be amazing. More regen buffs. 30/20 Regen Breaker self-healing, 60/40 Tethered Ally healing, and 10 AoE healing on Regen Breaker. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. Regen Breaker, of course, is your best breaker for just dealing with enemies, but it's also just your worst breaker in general for, healing. It doesn't really do its job. The self-healing is kind of bad. The ally healing gets pretty easily destroyed if the ally is being hard targeted. There's nothing you can do about that. And of course, AoE healing is 5. That's 1 fine staff M1, 1 rifle M1. It's miserable. It needs to be like at least 20. So I'm just saying 10 because 10 is like a generous number. Because I don't know. I know Aiden really doesn't like Coil. Next are some damage buffs. The damage buffs that I want are currently on screen. I think that these are pretty fair, although pretty strong. That's really all that I want for damage buffs. I really don't think that the Grounded Grav E needs a buff. I think it's Coil's strongest move in their kit. Although, again, Aerial Gravity is a lot more spammable, so I don't really know what to say about that. And finally, the Regen E maximum from 100 to 150. This just allows Coil to get a lot more healing in. just being a little bit more of a pest than he would normally be with the regen E. And those are my hopes for what I want Coil to get. As far as healing, just being a better fighter, being dive Coil, whatever he might be. So yeah, thanks for listening in, and I will see you guys whenever I do. See ya.